Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah and my first ever project for St George's Day. It was pointed out that we already have projects on the website suitable for St David's Day, St Andrew's Day and St Patrick's Day, but nothing for St George's Day. And I am English after all, and he is our patron saint of England, so I thought better get making something. And this is what I've come up with. So we've got the scene of St George on his horseback slaying the dragon with the English flag in the background and lots of pretty mandala details. This design cuts lovely large to go in a frame or to be propped up on a shelf or put on the wall, or you could cut it smaller to go on a greetings card. We don't actually really tend to do anything to celebrate St George's Day here in England, but if you make this, then you've got a little bit of festive fun to add into your home for our Patron Saint Day. Let's get started. You can find the free files to make this project at craftwithsarah.com/free-SVGs, or click the link in the description of this video to go to the tutorial where you can download straight from that page. You'll need to register a free account on my website in order to download any of the designs. The download comes in a zip folder. Before you can get the files into your cutting machine software, you'll need to unzip that folder. Visit craftwithsarah.com/help for instructions on how to do that, as well as a wide range of other tutorials on how to use your Cricut, Silhouette, or Scan and Cut machine. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the folder, it's time to get the SVG file into Cricut Design Space. Open up Design Space and start a new project, then go to Upload over on the left, and then Upload Image. You can then either click Browse to find the file on your computer, or drag and drop it in. Make sure you choose the unzipped version of your download folder, and within there you'll see all of these subfolders with numbers down them, plus the assembly guide which will show you the order to stick everything together in. If you're using a Cricut machine, I've made it really easy by putting the file you'll need in the 01 Cricut version folder. If you're using a different type of cutting machine or a laser cutter, head to craftwithsarah.com/help, choose your type of machine, and then there'll be separate instructions in there for you. But for this video, I'm using a Cricut, so I'll look in the 01 Cricut version folder, and within there is only one file. You'll know it's the right one because, well, it's the only one in there, but also it starts SVG-01 in the file name. Click and drag to bring that in, and it will look like this. It looks like a completed picture with all of the pieces on top of each other. Don't worry, by the time it's uploaded, it will separate everything out into layers. If yours looks different and you see all the pieces separate on the screen instead, that means you've accidentally uploaded one of the other files from the other folders. So go back and make sure you choose the one that's in the 01 Cricut version folder. Press continue and then upload. And it will appear on your canvas. It loads in at a nice size to cut, which is 7.5 inches tall, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut it straight at that original size. But if you're wanting to put it in a shadow box, on a greetings card, or something else where you need a specific size, then you can resize it really easily. Make sure the padlock icon above the width and the height box is closed. If yours is open, click it to close it. Then you can type either the width or the height, press enter on your keyboard, and the other measurement changes in proportion. But as I said, I'm going to do mine as it came, so let's press undo to put it back. If you want to simplify the design, you can remove the mandala pattern layers in the flag. To do that, click the arrow next to the design in the layers panel on the right of your screen. Look down until you see the very bottom. That's the white of the flag, and then the one on top of that is the slightly off-white pattern. Hover over it in the layers panel and then click the eye icon that appears to hide that layer. That means that it will no longer get cut out. And then the next one, the lighter red, is the solid cross on the flag, and the one above that, the darker red, is the pattern. So again, we can hover and then click the eye to remove it. So if you did want to go even simpler, that's a really easy way to take out those patterns. If you change your mind and want to put them back in, just hover over and click the eye again. I'm not going to do anything else to this. I'm going to go straight ahead and press make over on the top of the screen. This separates out all of the colours for you. You can change the paper size in the drop down here. I tend to use A4 paper here in the UK. And then you can click and drag to move things about to take up less space on your cardstock. So by moving the little shield up to the top right, it means that I've then got all of this piece left over on my card that I'll be able to use on another project another day. You do need to change the size for each colour individually. So go ahead, get everything looking exactly as you want it to, then press continue to connect to your Cricut machine and follow the on-screen instructions to get everything cut out from cardstock. For a full step-by-step video on how to use your Cricut machine to cut cardstock, head to craftwithsarah.com/help. And there are separate tutorials on there for silhouette and scan and cut machines too. Here are all the pieces of my St. George's Day design cut out. I've laid all the bits one on top of each other following the assembly guide that's included in the download folder, just to check that I'm happy with all my colours and that I haven't lost any of the little pieces, such as the ones in the shield, along the way. We'll be sticking this together with a combination of glue and foam squares. My preferred glue is Barely Art glue, but I also like Kalal. And the reason I like these two glues is they don't bend, warp or wrinkle the cardstock like some other glues can do. I live in the UK and get both of these on Amazon. To add some dimension, we'll use some foam squares. These are the ones I'm using from Dot & Dab, but any will do. These ones are nice because they're quite small, so they'll be nice and easy to put in around the frame and other smaller pieces. But if yours are bigger, they're really easy to cut with a pair of scissors. As with all my layered designs, we're going to start at the bottom and work upwards. So I'll move these pieces apart, being careful not to lose those little bits of the shield along the way. And then we're left with these two pieces that make up the white section at the bottom. The detail layer on top will be glued on, so let's turn that upside down and add the glue. Stick it right on top of that bottom piece, and you can use the edge of the dragon's wing and tail to know which way round to put it. And then your edges will match exactly. I've not done a good job there, but luckily with glue you can wiggle it about for a few seconds until it's completely dry. That's better. And push down to get it really nice and stuck. Then next up we've got the solid layer for the cross on the flag. This one will be done with foam squares. As my foam squares are quite small, I can fit them around this edge really easily, but if yours are bigger, cut them smaller because you don't want them to poke out over any of the sides, otherwise you'll be able to see them, and we want all of our foam to be nice and hidden under the card. So I'm going around the outside first, making sure I've got a good amount of the foam squares, nice and even, every couple of centimetres. Obviously if you've cut it a lot smaller, you'll need less. If you've cut it bigger, you might need a few more. And then I've gone around the edge now, but this isn't quite ready because if I was just to stick it on the edge, there's nothing to hold this middle part upwards. And as this is such a large piece of card, it will probably go downwards like that and it won't be nice and flat, so you won't get a good 3D effect. So as well as going all the way around the edge, I'll add some in all these middle bits too. Being a little bit random in where I put them, just trying to make sure there's a good coverage across all the bits of card and also in the little bits of detail in the knight's leg and also the dragon. That just about fits in there. I thought I was going to have to cut that smaller. Okay, now I've got all of those on there, I can peel the tops off to get to the stickiness underneath. I'm using a little pot to gather up all the tops of the foam squares in, which is very handy. I used to just do it in a little pile on the edge of the desk, and the amount of times I went like that with my arm by mistake and just knocked them all onto the floor is a lot of times. So having a little dish is much better. I got distracted telling you all about my dish, so now I've taken the tops off in a bit of a random order and I don't remember which ones I've done and which ones I haven't. think that's all of them. Okay, I'll bring this back in. And then once again, use the edges of the dragon to know where to line up. And we'll line it up and then let go and drop it down really carefully without putting any pressure on it yet. That way, it's lined up, but it's not actually stuck yet because we've not pushed down on those foam squares. So if you weren't happy with the positioning, you can easily pick it up and move it and not damage anything. But I think that's actually pretty good. So I'll push down to stick. Next up is the red mandala detail layer to go on the cross. This one is glued. It's right there on top. Like that. Okay, next we've got the lance, spear, not sure what you call it, but we're going to glue this to the back of the knight so it looks like he's holding it. Let's turn it around and it's going to go so that the kind of raised out bit, the handle, will sit just behind the elbow, and you can sort of do it in whatever direction you want. So I'm going to add a bit of glue to the front of this piece, just along there. So not on the handle bit and not on the very end, but just a bit down there. That'll be enough to hold it in place. You can choose what angle you want it to go at. Go up like that. And then by default, that will then look, if I turn it round, like the spear is going behind the dragon. But what you can do, I'm just going to move this because I've got my glue showing because I've put it too high up. Move it down a bit. That's better. What you can do to make it look like the spear's going into the dragon is just carefully move it around so you pull it in front of the dragon's wing. And you see now it sort of looks like it's going to go into the dragon. In the actual design, I've done that way different and it's pointing more like into here rather than in the wing. But it really doesn't really matter what position you put it in. It gives the same effect overall anyway. Okay, I'm happy with that one. So turn it upside down again and add some foam squares. I think my tail of my dragon's going to need my foam squares to be cut smaller. They don't quite fit in there. Okay, so I'm going to cut some a little bit smaller to try and get it into the horse's feet and legs and also in the tail of the dragon. Grab some scissors and then you can just go down. They cut really easily. See there, just cut them in half. And now I've got some teeny tiny bits to get in here. It will just help the 3D effect if there's a tiny bit of foam in those bits too, and that's enough. Maybe if I can get one in there. Yep, just about. Just make sure nothing's going over the edge, so you won't be able to see it when we turn it over. There we go. Now peel the tops off to get them sticky. Right, that's all of them. So now I can get this on. Still going to line it up using those edge bits. And the dragon wing, the big wing that goes in the middle, will try and kind of drop down out the way into the wrong place. So be a little bit careful with it. I'm happy with that. Push down to stick. And that is what it's looking like. Now we've just got the shield to do. It's got 3 pieces to it. White at the bottom, then red, then a black outline. The white bit along the bottom can stick with foam squares. It just goes sort of over the edge of the knight. The positioning doesn't matter too much. Something like that. And then glue the red on top. That's where the burley arc is. Very good, because the nozzle's so thin, we can get it into those tiny strips. There we go. And finally, the black outline, can't really see, black outline also to be glued. And there we go, that's our St. George's Day Knight and the Dragon, all finished and ready to be framed or displayed or whatever else you're going to be doing for it. I hope that you enjoyed this video on how to make this layered paper craft for St. George's Day. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more paper craft and Cricut tutorials. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!